So having had some time to play the new Ryze, I think I have his optimal setup figured out. It's probably Thunderlords. He doesn't deal quite as much damage as he used to. So I also pick up the Assassin Mastery over here. You could go Runic Affinity maybe or Secret Stash if you wanted. Double-edged sword. Just like again, he does a lot less damage now than he used to. So you want his damage threshold to be high enough to kill people. And then I opt for natural talent. This mastery is just flat out better than vampirism now on most champions, so you opt in for that a lot of the time. This one's another toss up, Savagery or Wanderer. There's not really too much of a decision factor to make, except this gives you better out of combat movement speed, which also can mean when you're running away from someone or you're trying to catch someone, then this can be like the difference between catching them and not, or getting away and not getting away. Sort of like how people put value on Cloud Drake, especially since it's been buffed a few times. So if you get Wanderer and Cloud Drake stacking up, it's actually pretty significant boost on some champions. So that's not something that you want to ignore. And the thought process for this decision goes Merciless would be more damage. If you're in a situation where you're full mana, Merciless is going to be more damage as soon as they hit to below 40% health. And the theory crafting behind meditation is that when you're low mana, meditation is going to let you deal out more damage than Merciless will. The benefit of meditation also is that you can pretty much just farm up all these expensive items that you need as Ryze. You're going to be going Rod of Ages, and he builds quite a bit more AP now than he used to. While his mana scaling is still pretty decent, he also has a percent mana boost based on his ability power, sort of like Vlad in a way, except based on mana. Anyway, you figure that out once you're playing the champion a little bit more regularly. And mana is still going to be your main boost, so right now for a Ryze build, I'd probably recommend something like Rod of Ages and then Iceborne Gauntlet or Frozen Heart, and Zanya's directly after that. Or if you needed magic resist, you go Banshee's Veil or Spirit Visage. And pretty much every other item in between it would be viable. So he's a little bit more flexible. He's mainly worried about his ultimate utility and getting his team into the fight. The problem is that not a lot of people still understand what his ult does. So it's kind of like when Thresh came out, nobody was clicking the lantern. Nobody clicked the lantern for like a year after he came out, but now everyone's used to him. He's pretty much seen every game. So maybe it'll be something like that with this champion, although I don't necessarily think that it will. And let's get back to the masteries at hand. So dangerous game. Bandit just depends on if you're greedy or not. I actually want the extra sustain from Dangerous Game because that fits my playstyle. Some people prefer the straight gold increase. This is actually another interesting one because you don't actually get benefit from cooldown reduction on Ryze's Q if you're playing him properly. So like the correct combo for Ryze is now like Q, and then you cast either your W or your E, and then you cast Q again, and then you cast whatever you didn't cast the first time out of W or E, and then your Q gets reset yet again. So then you cast that. So it's like QW, QE, Q, and depending on what you're maxing first, your W will be pretty close to being up. I still want to say you max your Q or your E on Ryze. There for a short time, you would probably go with your W, but that he just doesn't have enough damage. He just flat out doesn't have enough damage if you don't max your Q or your E. So I would recommend either one of those, and probably if it were me, I would go Q, E max. And yeah, Thunderlords, just because Storm Raiders would be awful on the new Ryze. He doesn't deal that much damage. Maybe Faker can pull it off, but that's about it. And then Wind Speaker's Blessing, of course. It's not going to be that great because it only procs when you're hitting your rune requirements in order to proc the shield. So 10% on something that's not going to be up that often is not very good. So you opt for the extra armor and magic penetration, which will continue to scale up throughout the game, and will make your auto attacks more meaningful. So I think that covers it. If you have any masteries that you want covered or any questions you had about the game in particular, feel free to leave me a comment, like, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.